Hi guys, Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today, before we start, I want to show you guys the 4th of July card I made. I did two different variations. Some of them I did with holes punched out, some of them I did with the stars with holes punched out and other stars in the background. But I used the Lucky Star Textured Impressions embossing folder for the white, and I put the stars up on it, and then I used the stars Thinlits, different sizes. I actually put the two smallest inside each other to get these cutouts, and then for some of the cutouts I would just layer them on top of each other. And then I used the new classic label punch, and I used that with, where is that stamp set? The Thoughtful Banners stamp set. So that has this little outlined image here, and then I used Celebrate. Wanted to have like Celebrate America or something, but I didn't have anything more patriotic, so I just went with Celebrate. So those are two cute cards that I made for the 4th. You could use these also maybe coming up for Labor Day if you wanted to. But another card I thought I was going to show you guys how to make is the card that I made for my blog hop. So that is this card. So this card, mine is going to be different. We're going to do a different variation today. But this card is the card that I did for my blog hop. Still going on now. If you go to the blog, which is rachthestamper.wordpress.com, you can start the blog hop. There's 10 different blogs you can visit. You can leave a comment plus hashtag #StampItContest, and you'll be entered to win a really cool prize. So you have to go through all of it so you can see the prize, and you get 10 chances to enter. No purchase necessary. You don't have to buy anything. It's completely free, and you can really get a cool prize. So I thought I'm going to show you guys how to do this today. But of course, I'm going to show you a different version because I very rarely do the same exact thing twice. So here's the card. I'm going to put that up there so you can keep in mind what it looks like. Move it so it's out of the way over here. Let me get this out of the way so there's no shadow. There you go. Okay. So what we're going to do is I've pre-cut a lot of this because I didn't want to make you suffer through me cutting it. But what we're going to do is we're going to do a vertical card. Okay, so this is going to be a portrait instead of a landscape. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to rub our Embossing Buddy over the top. This is a piece of Night of Navy because we are going to still emboss the top. So I thought another neat thing to do, instead of doing it with white for the white stars, this time I'm going to give it a try in silver. I haven't done this, so I don't know what it's going to look like. So hopefully it's going to look cute. So what I'm going to do is get a piece of scrap paper here. Okay, and I'm going to just sit that right here. Oh, let me move this first. Just for 1 second. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we're going to get out our Versamark, and we're going to get out of the Always an Adventure stamp set. We're going to pull out the stars. And then I'll show you what I did and what we're going to do over again. So I have the stars, and I'm going to just put that on the smallest block, which I think is block A. Yes. And we're just going to randomly stamp the stars across the top of this. And the Versamark does stay a little bit wetter, which is nice. So you still have time to emboss. I'm going to put a lot of stars up here, and because I'm not quite sure how much is going to get covered up because I already cut out some of my pieces, so I'll make this a little bit more starry than the last one. Okay, so now let me move this over. Move the Versamark. Now we're going to make I just have a piece of scrap paper here, actually two. I'll get one out of the way. And we're going to pour our silver embossing powder all over the top of this. So I thought just maybe with the twinkling stars it would give a little bit different of an effect. So we will see. Okay, so we're just going to give that a good nice flick just to get off the extra. And I do see that I have a couple lines in there, but that's okay. We're going to work with it anyway. Let me just pour this back before I make a gigantic mess. And one great thing about embossing powder, it always seems like when you put it back you have more than when you started. So this stuff lasts a really long time. Alright, so now we're going to take our heat tool and heat it up. Okay, so even though we have these little lines on here, and that's just from me stamping my stamp a little too hard, it's kind of neat. It almost looks like a constellation's following in the sky. So I do think the silver is definitely a little bit different. So what we're going to do, let me put this up here so you can see. Oops. I'll have to do my stamps. So what I did is I went ahead and punched out a bunch of different stuff. I don't know what I'm going to use or not. So I have the balloon. When I colored the balloon in, I colored the bottom with real red, the middle with pumpkin pie, and the top with So Saffron, just to get that graded color. Because if you've ever seen hot air balloons, they're not usually one color. They have a lot of gradients in them or a lot of design. So I thought that was really fun. Another thing you could do if you wanted to is go in and color in the looks like little flags on the balloon. You could color them in a different color if you wanted to. And then I went ahead and outlined it with real red. I cut out a couple of trees. I did a tent. The tent is early espresso on chocolate chip this time. I did 2 bears. I did 2 clouds. Okay, a couple of white snow-capped mountains. And then, so here's the way I did it differently this time. So when you look at this in the catalog, it shows you a lot of layered pieces like this, instead of me where I cut mine out thinner. So we can do this one of 2 ways. We can attach the whole layer, or we can just trim this part off so you don't really see it. So I haven't decided what we're going to do yet. But the other thing is, you'll notice I do have a little bit thinner of an edge here. So when I cut this out, it is a tiny bit shorter. So instead of doing it exact, I think I'm going to move it to the side and then cover the side up with something, but I haven't decided that part yet. So we have our mountain range. I did cut out a set of trees. I kept another piece of pear pizzazz that we're going to make something out of. And then the other thing is, instead of doing the moon, I thought we could either do a full moon or we could do a crescent moon. So what I did is I took the 1-inch circle punch and I punched out a hole, and that gave me the full moon. And then if you go over a little bit, you can see you can still do it right here. You can punch yourself out. Oops, look at that. Caught it on my arm. A little crescent. So if you don't want to use that tiny one, if you want to use a little bit bigger of a moon, there's another option for you. All right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to do our mini glue dots, and we're just going to attach these snow-capped mountains. And you can put them anywhere. They don't have to be on all of them. You can just put them on a couple if you just want to put it on like the highest ones. A glue dot works really nice because it's pretty tiny, this piece, and the glue dots are pretty tiny as well. So pop those on, and we'll just do one more. So instead of that middle one there, I'm going to do this one. So this one will kind of blend in. And then we have our trees. All right. So let's see here. We're going to put our clouds on, and we're going to put our clouds direct, and we're going to do a crescent moon. So let me get my snail. Let me get my silicone mat. Put these here. This just makes it a little bit easier to clean up all the goop off of your table. And you could certainly put any of these on dimensionals that you like. So we'll put the moon over here. I'm going to put the tiny cloud coming off of it, and then the other cloud up here. Our mountain range. So you can do this with layers, as I said. Layer, and then we can put a tree over here. And then we can put the rest of the trees down. So for now, I'm going to put this on dimensional, so it's up. So I just want to give this a lot of lift. So what we're going to use is we're going to do one piece on the top here, just like that. And then we're going to use these little strips that we have left over. I use these for a lot of projects, but basically it's just going to help us build it up. The other thing is, if you have the strips that they're selling now, you could use those as well. I just don't have mine yet, so I'm just improvising. And we're going to go ahead and just put one in the middle. So let's pull all that out. This really does give a lot of dimension to the card. I mean, it has a lot of dimension anyway, but it just gives really cool look. All right, so we're going to put that. I don't want to put it too high because I don't want to cut out too much of the Okay, so there's that so far. And then we'll go ahead and put our tree on one. And we're just going to put this over here, oops, to cover up our gap. All right, just like that. So now, in the meantime, we're going to put our trees on, and we're going to put the trees, let's see how far over I want to put these. We're going to put the trees so they cover the bottom of this piece. We're going to just put these directly down. Okay, so I'm going to use my little mat again here just to put some onto each tree. Okay, and so we're going to put this so it's covering the base of that tree there. And then what we'll do is we'll take our scissors and just trim off the end. Okay, just like that. Now, to give another layer, because we have a lot of stuff down here still with nothing on it, we're going to cut off a piece of Pear Pizzazz. So we're just going to cut straight across. Well, we're going to attempt. It doesn't have to be even, and I'll show you why in a minute. So now what we're going to do, so this is a full piece, we're going to cut a little edge to this. So just a curve, it doesn't have to be pretty, but just a little, like a little hill. Okay, so we'll put that here, but before we put it down, we're going to put a little bit of Pear Pizzazz on it just to give some depth. So we're just going to grab a sponge, and we're going to sponge the top edge. Almost gives it like that grassy feel. All right, we'll go down a little bit because I'm not quite sure how far down we're going to see yet. Okay, so we're just going to put this right in the middle. All right, again, I'm going to put this up on another little strip of Dimensionals. All right, and we're just going to run this along the top. So one there. We have one here. Okay, and that's going to go just like that. We'll put one down just kind of in the middle because we're going to end up covering part of this up. We just don't know how much yet. So go ahead and pull off your sticky strips just like so and just put that on. Okay, once again, just doing it as you go along is a little bit easier. We're going to go ahead and trim the edge because if you end up having multiple layers that you have to cut, you might end up making it not look as pretty as you want. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to put another tree on here, and we're going to use a dimensional on this one just to give, again, another layer of interest. This moon keeps coming back. Okay, while we're over here, we can put our bears. I have two of them today instead of one. All right, put our bears here, one here. And the other one we're going to put kind of back here a little bit, like he's hiding. So, while we're at it, let's do our lake. So we'll do the lake in Marina Mist. And we're going to stamp it in, see if this will fit on here. Okay, Marina Mist, Pacific Point. Okay, so we're just going to ink up our lake. We still have our Pear Pizzazz out because we might still put another layer of grass. I think we're going to need to. Okay, so there's our lake, and we're just going to cut this out really quickly. Now, one other thing, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm going to explain to you. Not a lot, but sometimes when I stamp, it doesn't seem like the whole image gets covered. So if you have your marker, so this is Pacific Point marker, you can fill it in a little bit just so it's a little bit darker. Don't fill in your waves, and it doesn't have to be really truly specific, but you can fill in. If you don't have the marker, you can also squeeze your ink pad together, create yourself a little pool here, and you could fill it in with your watercolor marker or your blender pen. But if it's not as dark as you'd like it to be, or even if you just want to outline the edge of it, you certainly can, just to fill in some of the lighter spots. All right, one other thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella to it, just to kind of give the glimmer. And I'm going to do that more so near these little waves. Ripples, I guess we should say. Just to give a little bit of and just a teeny bit around the edge. As always, you do want to make sure you clean your Wink of Stella brush off because it does pick up the colors that you're coloring with. So you don't want to go on something white and then the next thing you know, you're adding a color to it that you're not using at all. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this very close to the edge. But it kind of gives that cool effect like the moon is on the water with that Wink of Stella. So that's really pretty. And sorry if this is taking longer. I kind of go into these with a plan. As you see, my other card is completely different. And I sometimes just think of things as I go along. So that's why these usually take longer than I ever anticipate they're going to. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our lake right here. We're just going to do that direct to paper. Okay. Right there. All right, and then we're going to do one more layer of grass. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cut. Where are my scissors? We're going to cut one more piece out here. So just straight across again. And then we're going to go ahead and cut just a little bit of a wave. Okay. And we'll kind of just make this slightly straight across. All right, we're going to go ahead one more time with our Pear Pizzazz. I'm going to sponge the entire top. You can go down a little bit farther this time. Kind of makes it look like longer grass is growing, like you're more so meadow, or actually somewhere camping where, you know, you're not close to people that are mowing the lawn. I don't know. That was silly. I'm just running out of words. So I'm gonna trim this just a little bit more. I'm gonna go just a hair farther down. So, all right, so let me just go back in and just do this just a little bit farther. Okay, so we're gonna put this down here at the bottom. All right, but I'm gonna put it on dimensionals one more time. So we're gonna just use our last little strip here just to build this up. In the middle. Do one more here. Let me cut this one in half. So, cool thing. Use that entire sheet. Not one thing wasted, so that's pretty awesome. Okay, let's peel all these little buggers off. And we will look at what our card looks like finished. We just have one more little thing to do. So let me just make sure I got that in there nicely. Okay, so let me just trim off this edge here. Okay, I'm going to keep this piece just for a second in case I need something else. Same thing with this one. And I just want something there, but I don't really know what. I'm going to just trim this just a little bit soft. I'm going to soften the edge of this up so it's like a teeny, like a mound of grass. Like a very large overgrown hill of grass. Put that right on there. Okay. So, there you go. Really cool. Always an adventure stamp set. I didn't work in my hot air balloon, but I guess you can't really go hot air ballooning at nighttime. But there's a really cool card. Only thing we have to do is just put this onto a base card so it will open. But we could use basic black. I think that would look really pretty on there as well. Let's see if I can grab a piece real quick. I think the basic black looks really nice when you're doing the nighttime card because it kind of carries on the nighttime feel. Alright, so 5.5, 4 and by 4 1/4, we're going to score this at 4 1/4. Fold. Let me get this out of the way. Alright, oh, we even forgot our little tent here. We could even fit that in there still if we wanted to. Oops. And put this right So we're going to obviously need a piece of Whisper White for the inside, but this is going to layer just directly onto this because this is the exact measurement of the card. So I think that looks really, really cool. Little tent. You can still tuck your hot air balloon back there if you really wanted to. So I hope this has given you guys another idea, and I think the silver looks really pretty, but I definitely would have probably tried to stay in the lines a little bit more, but you're not really going to notice it. Somebody is going to just realize how much work went into this card and be like, I cannot believe you made this really amazing card. And again, you could use a full moon if you wanted to instead. You could do your crescent moon. You could use the tiny moon, but I really like this bigger moon better. It looks so much cooler. We use the Always an Adventure stamp set, and then we use the coordinating outdoor adventure framelits. So that's the mountain range, it has the trees, there's clouds. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Hot air balloon, the tent, the little directional sign, which is absolutely adorable. And on here you can see it's got the mountains, the water, the tent. That's really neat. You have another tree, you have another bear, two clouds, and your little snow-capped mountains. I can't find that doodad. I always end up losing it. Here it is. Snow-capped for your mountains. So there's a lot of really cool accessories. These two sets, I will highly say, if you get them, get both. Because the framelits also give you a lot of cutouts, like the little trees that you don't have, that you would have to cut all your trees individually. And it also has 2 different individual trees as well. So I hope this has helped you guys see how cool and fun it was to make that card. The problem is you never know where to stop. Look how many extra things I put in here. But I really like this Wink of Stella. I think it looks really, really pretty on this card. So I hope you guys will give this card a try. If you have any questions or comments, you can shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com or leave me a comment on my blog, rachthestamper.wordpress.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to me on my YouTube channel. I'm at Rach the Stamper. If you haven't found me, that's how you find me. I'm also on Pinterest. I am on Instagram at Rach the Stamper. Pinterest is Rach the Stamper. Twitter, and you can find me also on Periscope. So thanks for taking time to watch, guys. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and you can get all this and more in my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.